So, previous class we were talking about ethics in retailing. We completed first point and the second point half of it. So let's just recap once and then continue. Hope my voice is clear to everybody. Okay. So ethics in retailing. First, how ethically a business has to function towards customers. That was the first point. Now here you have to recognize the rights of customers regarding the safety information. Always customers priorities and safeties plays a major role, so you'll have to be very careful while selling the product. The customers also must have the freedom to choose whatever they require, and if they have any problem when it comes to let's say in case of they have some questions about the product, how to use the product, is the product safe for kids, and if you take certain toys, it has certain restrictions. Few toys are not encouraged for infants, okay, until the age of 1, until the age of 3 they are not allowed. So always safety and information regarding the product plays a major role for everyone to buy the product. So the freedom to exercise the choice, delivery of services and grievances has to be cared upon. Here the services delivery and their problem solving of the customers will always help to get lot of name to the company or the brand, whoever is selling the product. Then but here in India we don't have particular regulations pertaining to the ethics for customers, but we have something called Consumer Protection Act, which will cover up all these things. Okay, social responsibilities, ethics, everything is covered under Consumer Protection Act. Next, issues pertaining to invasion of privacy through electronic media. Always saving the privacy of the customer will help the business to go on for a longer time. You cannot give out the data of the customer on social media, or you cannot sell the data to other businesses just for money, because the customer would have believed you, or they would have trusted the company or the website to put all their personal data, maybe their name, their date of birth, email ID, phone number, card related, debit and credit card related information. So when they put all of this, it is company's duty, and it's ethics of the company to maintain that privacy. Okay, then the second point was towards community and general public. Now here we are talking about the society as a whole. Okay, it's not only to one individual person, it is for society as a whole. Now in this we'll have to avoid the black marketing. So buying the products from the local place and fake branding them, just changing the wrappers or changing the colors and selling it out, all these are black marketing and hoarding. All these are not to be followed when we say we are a company and we have ethics in for doing the business. So always you will have to be sensitive when it comes to society and customers or the general public. Then contribution to charity. Charity contribution comes under your CSR. Again, CSR is corporate social responsibility. Now in this CSR, it has become a rule now, even under Companies Act, where every company is supposed to take up some or the other activities to help the society, to help the people in need. So that will be contribution to charity, and this comes under ethics in retailing. Here we are very much sensitive, and we are very much responsible towards the general society, and we are helping them out, whoever are in need. So I told all of you to register for the TCS Career Edge classes. Now TCS is a Tata company, Tata Consultancy Services. Now they are giving free of cost classes on Career Edge. So in this case what happens, now in this case what happens with TCS is they are giving it free of cost, and which will help lot of student community to gain the knowledge about communication. Okay, so that is contribution to charity, that also comes under the point. Then environment sensitivity. Okay, in environmental sensitivity, we also have to be careful about, okay, we are also supposed to be careful about the environment nearby us. Okay, is there a problem in seeing the slide? I see a message that you're not able to see the slide. Next, environmental sensitivity we were talking about. Now, environmental sensitivity is how good we save our environment. Now, in this scenario of COVID-19, you can see the nature is healing itself. It's just because there is no human intervention. Okay, before all the roads were filled with two-wheelers, four-wheelers, and lot of other vehicles all the time. So there was too much of pollution, traffic, and since it is summertime, it's vacation time for maximum of the schools and few of the colleges, so they would go around for a lot of tours. So tourism was also happening. So because of all this, there was a lot of human connection with the environment also, not only on day-to-day basis, but whichever way you take up. So here environmental sensitivity is not only during certain times that we give space for nature, it is our duty to protect nature, not only for individual but also for the business, because businesses will be giving out lot of leaving out a lot of pollution to the nature directly. May it be they are putting out water waste into the lakes. Actually they're not supposed to do that. Okay, but they're leaving out the water waste without filtering, or they're giving out the smoke of the factory, which is again against the rules. So ethics of the company matters here to take care of in and around the factory, and it should not affect the people in a long term. Next, avoid selling of socially taboo products like tobacco. Now it's always good if the company is able to sell the products good for uh, which are good for the people, or which are good for the consumers. Okay, so here what will happen is, if you find the products which affect the people in any form, then it is little alarming, or it is not on a good note, or it's not on a positive note that the company will be taken into consideration. Okay, so that is second point towards community and general public. Next, let's see how the ethics will play a role in shareholders. Now, shareholders are the people who are the owner of the company. Now, these shareholders will have high standards of corporate governance. They always want transparency in the company. They want to know what is happening in the company, how the business is going on. So, what are the steps that are taken to prevent losses, suppose if any. Then how much profit will they get at the end of the year? How much more investment can they make into the company? So, all this are considered for a shareholder, because their main focus is investment and growth of the company. So that is where highest standard of corporate governance is required. But just because shareholders want profit, people cannot go out and say, okay, let us get into wrong ways also in getting the profit. That is not ethical. So you will have to do your business sincerely and wait for the profits to come. Maybe you can improve the marketing strategies, make the marketing strategies much better, reach out to more people, make the products user friendly, or make the services user friendly. So these are some of the right ways or ethical ways where the product can be marketed or sold to increase the profits. Then recall programs for building trust of the customers. Issues like child labor. So always you can or companies can come up with awareness programs. Now such awareness programs for every section of the society will highlight the company in a good terms. So this again can be taken as a part of your CSR activities. So from Reliance, there is a program called Stree Shakti. Now here, what happens is they have a little tag with the government also for this, where they encourage uh, women entrepreneurs who work at home only, like small job work which is being done by women. Preparing candle or agarbattis, or people who are working in construction sites. So for all of them, they want to provide a good amount of help, so they can also help their family, and they can also grow together. So that is another ethical way of uh, doing the business from the shareholders way. Okay, so these are towards customers, community and general public, and shareholders. Anybody has doubt in this slide? Did you all understand? Can you please reply in chat? Okay, so everybody understood. Let's continue. Now, there are some more points under ethics in retailing. This is towards employees. How ethical the organization must be towards employees. So, this is one of the major point. All the points are important in ethics. As I told you, you will get a compulsory 14 marks question. So, let's continue and see towards employees how it will be. Now, fair employment practices complaint with employment legislation. So, there are certain acts. Employment Act is also there, which has to be followed by the retailing company. No matter if it's a small or a big company, how many ever employees they have to go on and follow the rules and regulations. Equal opportunity employment. Never discriminate people in the workplace, may it be on gender or may it be on how they look, racism, nothing has to be encouraged. So it's always good to go on and give equal opportunity to every employee in the organization. Then addressing employees' grievances. If any employee is facing any problem, if so they'll have to have a committee or a help desk where they can approach and say out their problem, and the company must address their problems. Now, if company is responding well to the employees' problems and trying to solve them, that is when employees will be happy in the organization. In turn, their productivity will increase, and company also will be able to grow better along with employees. So that is the third point. The next point, issues related to sexual harassment at workplaces. So there are lot of steps which are taken towards control of sexual harassment at places, any type of harassment in that case. So there will be certain committees formed, or there will be certain grievance cells formed which will particularly look after the issues like this. So they will continuously, they will be working towards addressing the issues if there are any, and they would maintain the zero issue in the companies, because if in such case the companies can grow better with equal opportunities given to all employees. Then more responsibility towards women employees. Now this is being taken by all the companies, where when they're using cab, or when they're using the minibus or any other sort of transportation. So they will have sheets, extra record of who has traveled at what time, so that register will be maintained, so they know in which way or in which vehicle the women employees are transporting, so that will thereby they can maintain the safety of them, and it means that the company is showing a lot of responsibility towards women employees. Then addressing employee dishonesty. Suppose if a person is not honest with the organization, they are trying to play games or cheat with the organization. uh, there are ways to solve such problems. It's not that the employee has to be thrown out at once. Okay, because such people, no matter where they go on with the same attitude. So such employees have to be counseled, they have to be trained, retrained. The companies will try to take certain steps. At the end, if nothing is working, then they will have to take the extreme steps to for such employees. Then trusting his employees, an employer or the person who gives you job, okay, that person has to have a trust in every employee. Only in that case they will be able to get more job done from the employees. If not, if there is a little misunderstanding or miscommunication happening, then there might be a little hatch patch here and there in the work. Then business partners, that is suppliers, logistic organizations, banks, other professional organizations. Now such organizations always work on trust factor. Okay, they believe the company is better, they believe the company is good, and also the company can maintain their ethics in repayment of the loan, in payment of suppliers, being good to the competitors and not taking extreme ways. um, all these steps will prove that the company is having good ethics and they are on a good terms. Then conducting business and transparent manner. Always transparent manner is good, because if companies try to hide a lot of things, then they are only at problem, because there will be one or the other act from the government which will ask for more information. For example, in our balance sheets only, we are supposed to show all the business numbers. Apart from numbers, we also have to attach few statements from the experts, or that is why you have these professionals, CACS signatures or CMA signatures that are required. So that is where the government has come out with these hierarchy and a system to maintain the transparency with the companies. Apart from that, companies also have to file their balance sheets with SEBI, that is Securities Exchange Board of India. So again, if they don't give out their balance sheets there, again SEBI has all the rights to take out the company from NSE or BSE, that is stock exchange. Then delivering value to all stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who are interested in the company's information. Okay, stakeholders may be shareholders, because shareholders has invested in the business. Employees will be working in the company. You will have other general society who wants to know about a company because it is more interesting for them to learn. So like this, we have lot of stakeholders. We have government, because government will get taxes from the company. So all of these stakeholders has to be dealt properly from the company. So this is towards employees, the ethics. Separate question can be asked saying what are the ethics in retailing towards employees. Okay, 6 marks question can also be asked separately. So make sure you learn this well. Okay, did you all understand this slide? Anybody has doubt in this slide? Yeah, that's great. Okay, so these were the major 4 points under ethics in retailing. Starting with towards customers, towards community and general public, towards shareholders and towards employees. Now, going on to the next concept. The next concept is integrated systems and networking. Now, we in this chapter, we are majorly learning about the information technology impact on retailing. So, starting a business, running a business is one way, but running a business using technology is very, very important. So, that is what we have been seeing throughout the chapter. Now, let us understand few technical topics in running the business or doing the business. So, those are integrated systems and networking. So, information plays a vital role in decision making. Availability of right information helps in right decision. So, if you don't have information at all, it's very difficult to make a decision. If I don't give you an information about the course or about the subject, how will you able to know if the subject, you will have to study more for the subject, or have you already studied the subject? So information plays a very important role for you to come to a conclusion. Now that conclusion is making decisions in the business. Then integrated system and networking is one such tool which helps in providing accurate and timely information to management. So this system, including with the networking, okay, they are not only included a system, but there is also a networking tool here which will give us proper information time to time. So we are completely updated with what is going on in and around us in the particular industry or inside our own business, how it has been done. Okay, so that is integrated system. Then integrated system and networking provides various information such as number of products available in store, units sold, units ordered, location of items in store, expiry period, supplier details. All these information can be gathered at a point of sale. So this point of sale is important to understand. Now what is this integrated system is, all that material which I have it in the store, I computerize everything. Now if you happen to see, every store has a billing counter. Now in the billing counter they will have a computer and a barcode scanner, right? Now the products which you buy will have a barcode on it that can be just scanned at one moment and they will say you the total amount. So that is the integrated system and networking. Now here, using this integrated system and networking, what all can we know? Number of products available in the store. Suppose you wanted to buy, let's say, one type of a product. Let's say you wanted to buy a masala powder. Now you're searching for a particular masala powder and you did not get. So you can ask the shopkeeper, he will check in his integrated system and say where it is exactly located, which shelf, what items they have kept is also been put into such integrated systems, and how much are kept in stock, what all products are there, how much stock is there, and how much we have ordered, okay, how much is yet to come, how many numbers of stock is yet to come, that is also the record is maintained, and expiry period of each of them. Now expiry period of each of them is important in supermarkets because they get more stock. They usually get stock in more numbers than a very small shop. So such expiry period will always help them to sell the products first and maintain an inventory. Okay, once they sell the product and they are supposed to maintain the inventory for it. Then other supplier details. Now from where have they bought the supplier? Let's say from where are they purchasing the paneer products, or from which company or which distributor are they purchasing the ice creams or the bread for the supermarket. All that has to be kept in mind. So for such places or for such products, supplier details has to be maintained. All these information can be gathered at a point of sale. So point of sale is one such place where you will keep all the records. Now let us understand what is point of sale. Now point of sale is a place or a counter at which consumer makes the bill payments to the merchant for the goods purchased by him in the store. You would see a billing counter with a computer there. Now that computer will have some software with and the computer will be touch screen. So they click on the screen, they will ask for your phone number. So once they enter your phone number, and they will go on and bill the product. Now here, billing the product, they will not manually type anything, but they will just take the products under a barcode scanner. Now these barcode scanners will help them bill the product very quickly. Now after having these electronic point of sale, the lot of time is being saved for the customers. So this point of sale is a place where you bill the products after purchasing them. Then electronic point of sale is an electric way of building and making payments. Now in that billing part, you will have all the facilities. Okay, once your billing is done only, then the cash counter or the cash box will open. or if you are going for a card payment, then you can go with the swipe machine or the point of sale machine which is available. So that is electric way of building and making payments. Then EPOS or electronic point of sale is a software system which is capable of doing all activities of the store checkout, such as accepting payments by bank debit or credit card transaction, verification, sales reporting, inventory data updates. So this point of sale machine, okay, that one computer can do so much of job. It can accept the payments. When you get the products, they will do the billing and they'll give you the billing. And it can not only accept cash payments, but it will also accept the card payments. Okay, then after that it can also accept your wallet payments, UPI wallet, all that. Just the transaction ID will be noted. Then verification of sales. Now from morning, if they have done business until 12 o'clock, now at 12 o'clock how much stock is left, I can take a stock statement, and I can also check how much of sales or how much amount of sales have I done from morning using the computer. Okay, that will be easy for me to have a track of cash or the card payment that has been made for the day. Then reporting inventory data updates. Suppose for today, let's take for example, in a more supermarket they had got uh, fruits. Okay, let's take watermelon. Now there was a good amount of stock of watermelon being sold. Now this stock will also be maintained in the EPOS. Now for today, if the stock of watermelons is done, it's gonna get over. So previous day only I would have already ordered for the watermelons. Okay, I would have already ordered for the watermelon. So today all the people who would come, or all the customers who would come, would get the stock of their fruit. So this system will say me how much of stock is left over, when I should order. Okay, that also is being added to EPOS. It also facilitates customer service and inventory ability. So that is what inventory ability is: when I have to order, when I have to reorder, and I have to make sure that customer service is completely given to them. So this is EPOS. Just this is an example of EPOS. You can see here. Now this is a computer. This is towards the person who is billing it, and you can see another small screen there, which will give the details of the either total amount or product, each rate of the product. Now here in the screen, they will have a pre-installed software. Now this software will help them do the billing very quickly, and the software will also say if you are doing a cash payment, once you do the billing and click on enter, then only this cash box below will open. See, if you can see a key here, right? So this cash box will open only after that. So suppose you are paying, your bill is 354 and you are paying 500. So how much is the change or the amount that has to be given back? That also can be calculated using this EPOS system. And once you pay the amount, before you pay only you will get the bill here, right? So after payment, actually not before, after payment you will get the bill here, and you have an extra point of sale, that is for the card transaction. You have this. Now along with this, you can also see a barcode scanner added to the system. Okay, here there is no barcode scanner, but usually you can see a barcode scanner added to the system, which will make things easy for them also to do the billing and maintain the inventory. Okay, so this is complete system of how EPOS, that is electronic point of sale, works. Anybody has doubt in this slide? Did you all understand electronic point of sale? 2 marks question can be asked of electronic point of sale. Very rarely they have asked 6 marks question, but 2 marks question has been asked. Okay, nice. Okay, so let's go to the next concept. Next concept is electronic data interchange. again very important concept in this chapter. You can expect 6 marks question, 2 marks question from electronic data interchange. Definition of electronic data interchange for 2 marks, and 6 marks question, write a note on electronic data interchange. And they can also ask one more question by giving EDI, expand EDI, that also can be asked. Okay, so the EDI is a short form, the full form is electronic data interchange. Now let's see and understand the definition of electronic data interchange. Now electronic data interchange is an electronic exchange of business information, purchase orders, invoices, bill of lading, inventory data and various types of confirmations between the organizations or trading partners in standardized format. Now we are using internet, or we are using the electronic data here to exchange the information. So before, what was happening was, we were supposed to write down all the order. Now purchase orders before were manual. Now we were supposed to write down all the orders on a sheet of paper. Now this sheet of paper has to be printed. Okay, the pre-printed. Okay, students, kindly mute yourself. Okay, pre-printed book would be available. That would be printed by all of the companies, and they would maintain that purchase order book and a separate register for it. So every time they were supposed to write manually, check all the stock manually and write manually, and then post the purchase order. Now that purchase order would take 2 to 3 days to reach the actual go down or the place of business. Now after that only they will see the purchase order, arrange for all the materials, and then send the products to the warehouse or the company. But now everything is made online. Okay, so everything is made online. There are certain special softwares which are used for EDI, electronic data interchange. Softwares have been used. Now in this, what will happen, they will be using internet to send purchase orders. So now lot of time saving is been there. They need not wait for 2-3 days to get the purchase orders. So immediately a mail will be sent and the orders will be processed. Similarly, invoices also, once there is a sale of the product, immediately you will get the bill, or immediately you will be able to get the invoices. Bill of lading. Now bill of lading is nothing but, if you are getting the products through water means or ship. Now here such products, when you get through ship, that is called bill of lading. Now they will also give a receipt of the goods being handed over to you after coming in the ship. So such products will get bill of lading. Then inventory data, how much stock is there in the business, how much stock has gone out, what are the other stocks maintained, everything will be given. And other confirmations, like you can double check on the data what you have, or double check on the inventories that is kept in the organization. Now for all of these, they will maintain a special software or a format. Now for one company, if they are following a format, they always follow the same format, because it is easy to understand for the company as well as the person who is the supplier. So that is electronic data interchange. Then EDI is also used with individual organizations to transfer data between different divisions or department, including finance, purchasing and shipping. This EDI not only happens between supplier and the company, it also is used between the departments. Like production department can request finance department to pay for the raw materials. Now production department work is only to produce the product, but for production of product they want raw materials. So raw materials is being bought to the company, but the payment is done by finance department. So using EDI, using electronic data interchange, the internet and the online services, the production department can request finance department to pay the amount for the raw materials or the suppliers. So like that, inside the organization also, EDI can be used so that it is easy for them to do the communication, and all the communication is being recorded when it is done through EDI. Then use of EDI in retail business reduces cost. It reduces cost to a maximum extent because we are not using any sort of papers here, and we will not be wasting time in communicating through other means. So using internet here will always reduce the cost. Then it also strengthens the relationship between the retailer and the supplier. Why strengthening? Because everywhere you have the documentation being done for every transaction, for every word that they write or that they jotted down, everything will be sent through EDI. So any point of time you can go back and check the EDI to know the conversation. So that is where so there is a lot of transparency when it comes to EDI, because transparency, which means if I send a mail, my supplier can see the mail. If I'm a retailer, my supplier can see the mail and reply to me. So the transparency is only between us, but our information is not given to outside people. Then a supplier can spot trends in purchase and accordingly realign his production if there is exchange between retailer and supplier. If I am using EDI and if I'm using EDI, the data of the purchases will also be there. Suppose if I see more purchases of product A, okay, I'm a supplier now. I've been supplying, let's say, raw materials for making jam. Now, for raw materials for making jam will be majorly fruits. Okay, if I'm supplier of a fruit here, so I will see which fruit jam is being sold too much. So I will make sure I grow that fruit more, so I can meet to the demands of the companies. So that will also help me in my production, and it will also help me in getting more business. So I am also benefited as a supplier or as a farmer who grows the fruits, and also the company as a retailer can get more profit. So at the end of the day, to summarize this whole slide, electronic data interchange is nothing but you use an electronic platform here to do lot of conversation, that is the formal conversation for purchase orders, invoices, bill of lading. All the other inventory data are maintained at a standardized form. Okay, did you all understand? Anybody has doubt in this slide? Everybody understood this slide? Anybody has doubt here in the EDI? Very, very important question. You can write it in your own words, but make sure few words like electronic exchange of business information and these examples of purchase orders, suppliers information, all these are used in your answers. So this is just a diagrammatic representation of an EDI where you have internal system. This is our internal system and this is customer's internal system. So customer will create, let's start from here, okay. Customer will create an order. Now let's take for example more supermarket. Now let's say more supermarket is our customer and we are the company. Now more supermarket is buying, let's say we are selling them Fair and Lovely, okay. We are company who are manufacturing Fair and Lovely, just an example. So we are selling them Fair and Lovely. Now this is more supermarket who are our customers. Now more supermarkets will create the order, okay. Customer will create the order and they will send the order. Once they create the order and mail us, they will just give a call and say, okay, I have created the order, please check your mail. And you will, that is we, company who is selling Fair and Lovely, we will receive the order. Now after receiving the order, we will enter the order in our system. Now after entering the order, it will go to our internal system. We will have a particular server where the internal system will be working. Now when it goes there, once the order is accepted, because here once I enter the order, it will get accepted, and then I will create a invoice. Okay, once I create a invoice, I will send the invoice to the customer. See, I am printing the invoice here and I am sending the invoice to the customer. So once I send the invoice, now this invoice also can be sent through mail or through fax, in any means. You can even just give a mail to them and then they can print it out. This step also can be taken here. Okay, that's not compulsory to do. Only sending invoice is a major task. Then your customer enters invoice. They will enter the invoice number. Every invoice will have a number. So they will enter the invoice number. So this is one form of EDI. So once they enter the invoice number, by then my products would have reached them. Okay, the Fair and Lovely, whatever they had ordered, those products would have reached them. So this is the easiest documentation that is being followed in today's scenario. Okay, so hope everybody understood this diagram also. Anyone has doubt in this diagram? This is just a better understanding of EDI. Okay, so we'll stop the class here for today and we'll continue with the other concepts in the next class. Thank you, students.